Hello, super scholars. Welcome to today's lesson. Our topic today is technology and communication. Technology and communication. So, in today's lesson, we're going to learn the meaning of technology, the usefulness of technology, the meaning of communication, and the different means of communication. Okay, so let's start by learning the meaning of technology. Technology is the use of science in solving problems. Technology is the use of science in solving problems. So, whenever anyone uses science or scientific principles to solve problems, it is known as technology. Okay, technology makes life beautiful, easy, and interesting. Technology makes life easy, beautiful, and interesting. So let's see how or why we say technology makes life beautiful. Okay, we use technology in different places. We use technology in our homes, we use technology in our schools, we use technology in different ways. So let's see how technology makes life beautiful or easy or interesting in our homes. Okay, now take a look at these two pictures I have here in the slide. Okay, this is lantern and this is electricity on the other hand. Lantern was used in the past to brighten our homes whenever it was dark. Okay, but these days we don't use lanterns that much. I can't remember the last time I saw lantern in anybody's home. Okay, what we now use more of is electricity. Okay, even when there's power outage, most of us switch to using our power generating sets. Okay, because of technology. Now, this lantern was not so easy to use. I can remember using it when I was in primary school. In the evenings, when everywhere was dark and there was no power supply, we would first have to pour kerosene into the lantern, into the tank you see at the bottom of the lantern, and then we'll bring out the globe, that's this glass you see, and wash it. Okay, I can remember breaking some of my mom's globes. Okay, so that was the stress we had to pass through. Bring out the globes, wash it to make sure it's bright, and then fix it back in. You could break the globe in the process, and sometimes get reprimanded for doing that. Okay, and sometimes you could even get yourself injured in the process of cleaning the globes, to provide all in a bit to provide light. And guess what? It will not even brighten the home as well as electricity does. So you can see that life has become easier. These days, you don't have to go through all that stress. You just have to turn on, or sorry, switch on your bulb, your bulb, yeah, to provide light to your homes. Okay, now look at this again. This is a grinding stone. It was used in the past, but now with technology we have blender. You don't have to stress yourself. I can remember grinding melon and tomato and pepper with the grinding stone, and trust me, it is not easy at all. You'd have to exert a lot of energy. You'd use your strength to grind and you'd sweat. Okay, but now with blender, with technology we have blenders, and all those stress have been reduced. Okay, now look at this is charcoal iron. It was used in the past. Okay, for you to be able to use this, you would need to go around looking for coal to be able to provide heat to iron your clothes. But now with the coming of new technology, you don't have to go through all that stress. You just plug your electric iron and get your clothes ironed. Okay, and you can see this is the mobile phone. It makes communication easy. Okay, in the past there was no phone and people found it very difficult to pass messages across. If you had a relative living far from you, you'd have to trek distances to tell the person whatever you wanted to say, or wait till anybody in your community is traveling to that area and look for and pass your message across through the person, or write a letter and have to wait for a long time before the letter gets to the person and before the person replies you. So life was not so easy before the advent of technology. But did I just say advent? Sorry, I should have said coming of technology because I'm talking to you. Okay. Okay, so but now with the coming of technology, life has become a lot easier. Okay, so let's look at how technology is useful in our schools, how technology makes life easy in our schools. Okay, you can see you're even listening and watching this video online. Okay, so you can do it from the comfort of your homes because of technology. In the past, the only way to teach was through the physical presence of the teacher. The teacher had to be present with the children, and before any form of teaching could take place, and it was with the blackboard and chalk. But now with the coming of technology, education has become easier. The teacher can easily teach online. Prepare your lessons and put them online, and then the children can also learn from anywhere. Okay, so if there's any reason you can't come to school, you can still learn from the comfort of your home through the internet. Okay, and that's one way that technology has made education easy. Technology has made learning easy. Okay, so we don't have to always depend on the traditional method of the teacher and the child being together in the classroom using the blackboard and the chalk. Okay, okay, now let's look at how technology has made life easy in our communities. Okay, look at this. This is a traffic light. It's a product of technology, and it helps people when they are driving to know the signs and stay safe. Okay. Okay, now with the coming of technology, we have taps everywhere. In the past, people used to trek long distances to go to the stream to fetch water, but now we have taps in our homes, so we don't have to suffer ourselves and go far. Okay, and okay, look at this. In the past, people used to trek long distances when they wanted to go anywhere, or they travel using horses. But now we have cars, we have aeroplanes, which make us travel faster than ever before. Okay, now let's go over to the meaning of communication. Communication is the exchange of information between people. Communication is the exchange of information between people. Okay, and it involves more than one person. You can Communication involves more than one person. It's a two-way process. It involves a sender and a receiver. The sender is the person who is giving the information, while the receiver is the person who is getting the information. Now, before information can be complete, the receiver, that's the person getting the information, has to understand the information. Okay, if the person getting the information, if the receiver does not understand the information is not complete. For instance, what I'm doing, I'm passing information to you right now. If you do not understand what I am saying, it means that I have not communicated. My communication is not complete. So, for me to be able to communicate, or for me to be able to say that I have communicated with you, you have to understand what I said. Okay, so if you do not, that is why we always ask if it's a physical meeting, we always ask if you understand what we say, because that is the only way we can know that we have communicated with you. So for communication to be complete, there has to be understanding. The receiver has to understand what is being said. Okay, now let's look at the means of communication. Okay, we have two means of communication. We have the olden day or traditional means of communication, and we have the modern day means of communication. Now let's look at some of the traditional means of communication. They were Traditional means of communication was the method of communication that was used in the past. Now let's look at some of them. I have the talking drum. Now, in the past, whenever people wanted to pass information, they could use the talking drum to attract people before they say whatever they wanted to say. Okay, then there's the fire signal. People use the fire signal in the past to warn other people of danger whenever danger was perceived. The fire signal was used as a warning sign to make people understand that there was danger around that area. Okay, now this is a bell. Bells were used in the past to call people's attention, maybe to a meeting or to anything. And now this is a bird which is called pigeon. People used a pigeon as a source of as a method of information. Pigeon, this bird was trained in the past to carry letters from one place to the other to deliver to people. Okay, now this is a town crier. A town crier is a person who goes round the village making announcements that were told to him by the king. Okay, so those were the means of communication in the past. Now let's look at some advantages of the traditional means of communication. Okay, the first I have here is they are cheap and easy to maintain. They are cheap and easy to maintain. You can see the different um traditional ways of communication. They are very cheap. Okay, anybody can easily purchase these items. Okay, and anybody can easily light a fire. Okay, they're cheap and easy to maintain. And any number two I have is anyone can use them whether they are highly educated or not. Okay, you don't need high level of education to be a town crier, to ring a bell, to beat a talking drum, or to light a fire. Okay, so those are the advantages of traditional means of communication. Let's look at the disadvantages. The first I have here is they do not have wide coverage. They do not have wide coverage. What that means is that using the traditional means of communication, you cannot pass information to a very large number of people. Imagine imagine having to talk to everybody in Benin City, for instance. You can't possibly use a talking drum from your house to talk to everybody in Benin City. Okay, or you cannot light a fire from your house and talk to everybody in the city at once. It's not possible. So the traditional means of communication does not have a wide coverage. Or imagine having to be a town crier. How many streets can you walk through in Benin to be able to talk to everybody in the city at once? It's not possible. Okay, so they do not have wide coverage. Number two is that the messenger or town criers were sometimes at risk of danger. Yes, if the messenger or the town crier has to pass a piece of information that is that is not pleasant, the person could get killed for bearing such information. Okay, the person could get killed. The person is at risk of being killed by the people he's delivering the message to if the message is not pleasant. Okay, and the third one I have here is that traditional means of communication made transfer of information very slow. They made transfer of information very slow. Okay, so the town crier would have to walk around the village or around the city, and each street would have to wait till the town crier gets to their street before they know the message that is being passed. So the passage of information was very slow. Okay, then the fourth disadvantage I have here is messages could sometimes get lost. Messages could sometimes get lost. Okay, so imagine training a pigeon to carry your letters. The pigeon could easily stray with your letter and the letter could get lost. Okay, or even when a town crier has to go around, by the time he has repeated a particular announcement for up to 5 or 10 times, there's the possibility that he could forget some parts of the information that he wants to pass. Okay, and he could tell a particular area an incomplete information because he's human. Okay, and so having to repeat a particular piece of information for many times, could be tiring. Okay, he could get tired and forget some parts of the information. Okay, and so some areas would have complete information and some other areas would have incomplete information. So that means that the information or the message has been lost. Okay, now let's look at the modern means of communication. The modern means of communication um, entails electric means and of communication and mass communication. So let's look at some of the modern means of communication. We have the television sets, the radio sets, we have the mobile phones. Okay, these are all electronic means of communication. They are modern too. And then we have the newspapers. Okay, all of them put together are mass method of mass communication. Mass communication means talking to very large number of people at the same time. Okay, we can do all this using the television, the radio, the telephone, and the newspapers. Now let's look at the advantages of modern day means of communication. The first I have here is they have a wider coverage. They have a wider coverage. Okay, look at the television or the radio, for instance. They can help to pass information to a very large number of people at the same time. Okay, so even the newspapers, everybody around the nation would have access to information, but because of the newspapers and the television and radio. Okay, the second I have here is that messages are not lost. Okay, so if I make an announcement on radio or on the television, it is the same way you get the information in your house that your friend in Abuja would also get the information. Okay, because it has been said and it has been recorded and it's been transmitted, so everybody gets the same information. The information does not get lost. Okay, so and the third is that they are faster. They are faster. Modern day means of communication is way faster than the olden day means of communication. Now look at the mobile phone. Okay, you can easily pick up your phone and pass information to someone who is far away, compared to the traditional means of communication where you have to trek to the person's house or wait for someone who is traveling to the person's house before you can say whatever you wanted to say. Now let's look at some disadvantages of modern day means of communication. The first I have here is they are expensive. Okay, they are very expensive. Modern day means of communication is expensive. The second is the cost of maintaining the modern day means of communication is high. And the third I have is that some of the equipment used in modern day communication may be dangerous to the health. Okay, so that is how we wrap it up on the lesson today. We have learned the meaning of technology, okay, the usefulness of technology in our homes, okay, in our schools and in our communities. We have learned the meaning of communication and the different means of communication. Okay, so with that we have come to the end of the class. Thank you very much for being a part of it. Bye bye.